Cooper pairs of electrons are bound pairs of electrons responsible for superconductivity. And so before we discuss Cooper pairs, we should revisit Druday's model for conduction of electrical currents. And according to Druday's model, when you apply an electric field, the electron travels inside the solid and it scatters at lattice points, thereby losing its momentum. And again, it begins traveling. So you have a profile of momentum which increases and then discontinuously comes to zero after some relaxation time. And then again, it continues to increase and under the influence of this electric field, and then again it will come to zero, and this motion oscillates throughout as long as you provide the external electric field. This is how these electrons, the normal conduction electrons, which are the charge carriers, they conduct current in solids at normal temperatures. Now, which are the electrons which are responsible for carrying current in solids? So if you see, these are the electrons that, if you draw the Fermi sphere, and this Fermi sphere will have electrons arranged in this fashion. So at the surface, you'll have electrons which are the normal conduction electrons, and below the surface is the Fermi floor on which these electrons reside. And these electrons that are there in the Fermi floor, they cannot participate in conduction because they just do not have sufficient current to get excited and come close to the Fermi surface. And so it's the valence electrons that are close to the Fermi surface, and they participate in the conduction of normal current. And these valence electrons, as they travel through the lattice, they get scattered, and upon scattering, they basically lose their energy, and this is an inelastic form of scattering, so therefore you'll have some energy that is lost as power in the circuit, and that's what is responsible for our resistance in the circuit. Now in 1912, Camerly-Owens discovered that when you cool a substance below a particular temperature, specifically when you cool mercury below 4.2 degree Kelvin, then there is loss of resistivity uh, in uh, in transport of current. And so that's equivalent to, there is no scattering of the electrons that are taking part in current transfer in this particular material below this temperature, which is the transition temperature. So we want to know why these electrons, so we'd like to know why these electrons do not scatter in the lattice ions. And for that, Skaffroth in 1955, and so he proposed that the rigid state consisting of pairs of electrons in a resonant state could possibly condense to form a Bose-Einstein condensate. And because they are in a rigid state of global coherence below the critical temperature, the energy required to scatter the electron and break the global coherence would not be provided by lattice vibrations at such low temperatures. So now the first question is that how would the condensate be formed in the first case, since you have fermions, and where are the bosons coming from to form a Bose-Einstein condensate? So Bardeen proposed in 1950 that as electrons travel through solid, and if there is a large momentum difference between two electrons, then essentially they can come close together and exchange energy through phonon exchange, that is facilitated by the lattice. And after this exchange takes place, these two electrons between which the exchange has taken place, they form something known as a resonant state, and this was proposed by Skaffroth in 1954. So this resonant state below the leads to the formation of the Bose-Einstein condensate, because these resonant states are actually a collection of two fermions which act as a boson. So what happens to the Fermi sphere that was initially just spherical? It transforms into something like this. And this is, so you have one sphere in the center, and then you have a concentric shell, and between them there is a gap which is unoccupied. So I mean, just by looking at this, what one would expect is that the energy of this particular configuration should be higher than that, because the Fermi's surface has sort of expanded outward. So shouldn't this be a more energetic state, and it shouldn't be a ground state rather? And Froelich in 1950 proposed that this particular state is energetically more stable because of interactions of electrons with high energy difference, forming something that is close to a bound state. And because of this bound state, there is some sort of compensation of energy that will actually that will- that that actually compensates for this extra energy that has gone into transforming the Fermi sphere. Now, motion of the conductance, superconductance electron. So if you see the motion of the superconducting electron as it travels through the lattice, what happens is essentially there will be deformations in the lattice, and as this moves away, and these are oscillating. So if you see that after once this has passed also, this deformation is going to exist. I mean, it's going to persist for some time, and um, these points, these lattice points, the ones close to which this electron has traveled across, they're going to oscillate, and because of that you'll have temporarily a larger amount of positive charge concentrated in this middle lane through which this electron has passed. So what will happen is that this slight deformation, if you see what the electric fields are corresponding to this deformation, what you will see is that there is higher concentration of electric fields in this middle lane, and it's indicated by this darker shade of green in the middle lane compared to adjacent top and bottom lanes. And so if the electric field lines are more concentrated here, the electron that is the next electron that's going to come, it's going to prefer going through the middle lane because it's going to feel a higher attraction in this particular lane. And so the probability of this electron uh, following the path or coming closer to that previous electron increases, and that's how through this lattice, through the phonon modes, these two electrons communicate with one another. So now, one question that comes to our mind is that why should it be that the superconducting state depends upon the phonon exchange, which depends upon lattice vibrations? Couldn't there be some other mechanism that could explain superconducting state in lattices? So there was one research done in 1950, and it was basically a measurement of the transition temperature for certain isotopes of mercury. And what was found out by Maxwell was that he measures the current in the Helmholtz coil as the temperature is decreased for the two isotopes of mercury. And what he notes is the following: the below line that represents natural mercury with an average atomic mass of 200.6, and that has a lower transition temperature compared to the line above, which is obtained by measuring an isotope of mercury with an atomic mass of 198. I mean, one of the ways to look at this theoretically, which Bardeen gave, was that as you have a lighter mass, it would be easier for this particular mass to oscillate when an electron comes and interacts with it, compared to a heavier mass, which would have a greater inertia, and therefore it would be more difficult for this to oscillate, and therefore the transition temperature would be inversely proportional to mass. So heavier the mass, lower the transition temperature. And subsequently, just like these two publications are just 10 pages apart in the same journal, and it is shown that the transition temperature is depends upon the mass of the lattice ions. And so you see that there is some dependence of the lattice ions also in contributing to the superconducting state. That's why we have and that's why these gentlemen proposed a theory of superconductivity, which included phonon lattice vibrations, incorporated lattice vibrations in some way or the other. So Cooper in 1956 proposed that the interaction of electrons inside the lattice would lead to formation of bound pairs, and these pairs of electrons would have a greater probability of being found uh, in a length that is typically less than a particular value, which is unlike if these electrons were just left in gas, they would just try to separate away from each other, since both are negatively charged. So he found that there is an interaction energy which actually leads to some kind of bonding, and even though the total energy would be greater than zero, there is a bound state of electrons that can be found inside this lattice. And it is this bound state of electrons which is responsible for having this particular Fermi sphere with a concentric shell that was proposed by Froelich. So basically what happens is that the interaction energy of the bound pairs of electrons, that are also known as Cooper pairs, compensate the energy increase due to the splitting up of the Fermi sphere, making the configuration proposed by Froelich more stable. Hence, we see that the role of Cooper pairs is fundamental in constructing a theory of superconductivity, which involves charged bosons as carriers of the supercurrent. So, thank you.